about Slovenia, where we are based, and our neighboring country, Croatia. We have completely different tours to show and offer to you. So this is going to be the main purpose of our meeting. But for the very beginning, just a short introduction of your host. Just a second. Yeah, the two of us being here on these photos. My name is Andrei, and you already know Matija or Matic, who started this session. Both of us have some experience in guiding different groups. We are talking about cycling groups, hiking groups, and so on. We are both also passionate hikers, bikers, trail runners. Matic is very experienced in rock climbing and caving as well. But in the company, we take care about route development. We are also cartographers. I am a geographer, he is geodesist, so we have something to do with maps and with spatial information. I am responsible for the guides in the company, so I'm the one who tries to get the best guides we have for our guided groups, guided tours, sorry.
Okay, I will give you firstly a short introduction of our company as well, not just about ourselves. Let's say we really try to emphasize this, as you can read it here at the top. We are locally driven boutique and responsible tour operator, but moreover, what we really try to do is not to have this just written somewhere in the paper, but to really live it, or really to take this into the account in our real actions. So we are definitely very committed to mostly sustainability. We have several sustainability standards like Travel Life, Slovenia Green, and the one which we are most proud of, the B Corp certificate. Actually, we are the first B Corp certified company in Slovenia, and therefore we really try to follow the high sustainability standards in the world. On the other hand, we're very happy to be maximum 5-star rated on different social platforms like TripAdvisor, Google, Facebook, and similar, because that means we are recognized mostly by our guests who are very satisfied with the service and with the experience they have or they had visiting us. On the other hand, not only the guests who gave us so far the recognitions, it also the different type of world-renowned media who's been writing about our products, about our tours. Actually, lots of our tours have been chosen like top products between the years of 2020 and 2004. In different media, National Geographic, Lonely Planet, Guardian, New York Times, and others, which are listed below. Actually, if anyone is more interested about this, you can simply browse our web page, and with each tour presented, you will also find the reference to the media coverage and also the link to the article related. What you can see now is actually the basis of what we are going to talk about, or let's say not what you're going to talk about, but the core data we are using to actually create the tours we will be presenting, or we are presenting tonight. If we could zoom in more into detail, which is not the purpose of this slide, but just to let you know, this is really quite a huge network of different possibilities of tracks that we established, that we regularly check on the terrain, that we included in our database. And from this, all these tracks actually form a huge network of over 10,500 kilometers. And from these basic tracks, we actually put together, design, and create different type of tours of different difficulties, different character. We can create customized tours and so on. The ones that we offer, like the typical ones, are the 6 touring, 5 mountain bike, 4 gravel, 2 hiking, and 1 a bit special wildlife watching tour. And most of them are going to be presented briefly tonight, and some of them also a bit more into detail. Our service, or what we can offer, consists of different things. You can come and enjoy or take a guided or a self-guided tour. This is, let's say, like the biggest difference. Being experienced cyclists or traveler, self-guided tour might be a good choice for you. On the other hand, if somebody just wants to live him or herself to enjoy and not take care about how to arrive to each day's destination, where is the best restaurant, what are the best views, what are the best sightseeing. In this case, actually, yeah, you just take a guided tour and our experienced guides will take care about all this. And the third thing, of course, a tailor-made or custom tour. Either of them, guided or self-guided, can be customized especially to your needs and your wishes, which we discuss prior to your arrival, and then we can prepare a product or a tour that really suits your wishes and needs most. Of course, we take care for all the booking for the accommodations, for all the luggage transfers in between. We do take care for the return transfer when you finish your tour at the end somewhere else where you started, to get you back to the airport and from the airport as well. We have a huge fleet of bikes. Actually, it consists of over 80 bikes of different types, mostly touring bikes, e-bikes, gravel bikes, mountain bikes, full suspension, and so on. So we really take care about the bikes in terms of being well maintained. They're fairly new, from being really new up to 2 or 3 years old. So we change the fleet every 2 years or 3. So we really think this is the most important thing to have, one of the most important things to have a reliable gear and to enjoy and not to take care even about that. And the support on the tour, besides all these logistics I mentioned, also on the self-guided tours, any kind of emergency occurs, of course, there are us there who will help you out from any, let's say, specific situations which require our assistance. Navigation for the self-guiding, this is something we're also quite proud of. Actually, on the previous slide, when you saw all this red network, this is something that we put into the application when the routes are created, and then we share it to our guests through this application. We tested several, of course, but at the end, we ended up with Ride with GPS, which really perfectly suits our needs. We find it very useful, very reliable. Also, our guests think the same. Actually, the satisfaction with navigational package that we provide has increased from 70 up to over 90% from all the surveys our guests fulfilled after the tours, since we started using that kind of sharing the navigational pack. It gives us all the possibilities of creating, and then for the customers to download offline all the content, including of course precise GPS data, all the booklets, or as it is named, the tour experience, with all the information included about the accommodations, about the daily itinerary, etc., with lots of points of interest along the routes and so on. Also, the mobile app is free to use for navigation for our guests. As I mentioned, offline usage is possible in some areas where might be difficulties with the internet signal. There are not many in the areas we cover, but of course, in the outdoor sports, that can happen as well. And to prevent it, this is a very good idea of how to do it. Not only application, of course, mobile application, you can also download tracks for your personal usage in other navigational devices like Garmin, etc. So it's actually something we really like to use, and also our guests, as I mentioned. This is actually now the cover of the core content we're going to present you tonight. We'll be talking about cycling and hiking in the area of Slovenia and Croatia. We'll present the different types of tours we can offer: touring, cycling tours, gravel tours, mountain bike cycling, and hiking tours. We'll briefly show you all that we can offer, with some emphasis on specific products which we would like to let you know more into detail about. And at the end, of course, there is time for some questions and answers. As Andrei mentioned, feel free to put down any questions in the chat section if anything occurs or pops up to your mind. So we'll try to answer all of them at the end of this session. So now I will give the floor back to Andrei, and he will guide you through the first section of touring cycling. But firstly, some introduction about the area we are trying to present.
Yeah, thanks, Matic. So why would you come to Slovenia or Croatia to visit us? We are talking about two relatively small countries in the south of Central Europe, let's say squeezed between Central Europe and Mediterranean Sea. There are many reasons. First of all, if we move to our homeland, Slovenia, you can see that it's a really green place. So we are not only talking about green politics of the country, because we are oriented into sustainability and let's say green future, but green is also a kind of a national color because we have a very large percentage of forests. And even if you come here to cycle in the summertime, which can be a little bit hot, you will find plenty of shade to relax yourself in, let's say, primeval forests, where there is a huge network of gravel or asphalt roads taking you through, or mountain bike trails if you decide for a mountain bike tour. But apart from the forests, we also have mountain pastures and crystal clear rivers. And all over the place, there are many posts where you can enjoy beautiful views around. Let's go on. Just a second. Slovenia gives you plenty of opportunities also for other sports, not just for cycling and hiking. You will find many places to swim in summertime. We have beautiful glacial lakes, we have rivers, as mentioned. If some of you like fly fishing, we are also quite famous for this art of sport, if I can say so. And I think you will really enjoy the place. What's wrong now? Just a second, excuse me. It's?
Yes, I'm just checking. Now I think it should.
No, because it doesn't allow me to share my screen.
So okay, yeah, I know. Just a second. I will just give you the. Yeah. Just a second. Doing here. So firstly, we will do it about the touring. Okay, running it, and it's coming up in a second.
Shall I start sharing my screen and my presentation, or?
No, I'm just I just needed to open it. Sorry, I accidentally closed it in between. So here we go. The touring we need to share is coming up. Okay.
Yeah, but we need to go back now.
Sorry for this technical difficulties, guys. Just
Moramo iti nazaj na prezentacijo, veš, Matic, ne na zemljevid.
Yes. Does it work with you with the now?
No.
Okay. Just a second.
A veš, ne vem, zakaj smo že na zemljevid prišli.
Okay, sorry.
Zdaj pa bo. Yeah, here we go. Let's just come to the right slide. Okay, that's it. That's it. Thank you.
Okay.
So sorry for this. Let's just continue. I told you the main reasons why you should come to Slovenia, and now you will see a short video clip about Croatia as well. But don't forget about food. As I told you, we are squeezed somewhere between Central Europe and Mediterranean. We are somehow on the crossroads of this part of Europe, and this influences also the cuisine here. And when you will cycle here, of course, you will get hungry. And if you visit some of our restaurants, you will experience the food influenced by Central Europe, by let's say a Mediterranean part, by Italian cuisine. Italy has really a huge influence on our food, and of course it can be prepared on traditional way or with some, let's say, modern kicks, which are quite popular now in our by our guests, by our hosts, sorry. Which also rank relatively high on, let's say, itineraries of many people coming here. And some of the restaurants you can visit also reached the Michelin stars in last years for their preparation of food, which is also quite a thing which we are proud of. Croatia is just to the south of Slovenia. And of course, everyone more or less knows about spectacular coastline of Croatia, which shares hundreds of kilometers of Mediterranean or Adriatic, more precisely, coastline. But Croatia is not just the coast. If you head inland, you will soon reach hilltop towns, historic villages, medieval places full of spectacular views. Vineyards, they are quite rich on olive orchards, and all over the place. Of course, there are spectacular views which you will come across. There is a lot of history in Croatia. As you can see, Roman heritage in the top right corner in Pula, one of the biggest amphitheaters in Europe, and some Venetian style towns like Rovinj, which you can see in the bottom right corner here. And a few impressions from Slovenia and from Croatia. As we mentioned, a lot of greenery, rivers, karst springs, islands in the background, forests, beautiful views, and of course the beaches as well. Many tours touch the beaches. The Lake Bled in Slovenia, Julian Alps, which is the most dramatic part of Slovenia's mountains, and mountain pastures, which you will come across. There is something special which we also offer, Slovenia Green Tours. It's a kind of a certificate guaranteeing you that especially the touring program which we offer and which will be presented in the next minutes tries to connect so-called green certified destinations. So destinations which put a lot of attention on sustainability, on local products, on green politics, and those things which are quite important and popular to talk about now in recent years. So we always try to support local communities, their services, products, local craftsmen, local traditions. We want to travel green on our tours, so we always try to get, let's say, public transport to reach different parts of some tours, because some of our tours stop somewhere and then you need to do a transfer by train to another destination to continue the tour. Of course, then we use single-use plastics, some things which are not written here and are needed to be mentioned. Water, for example, you don't need to buy bottled water in Slovenia, because it's really good quality water if you use the tap one. And as mentioned, we prioritize small family-run accommodations when we are on our routes. Okay, let me show you a map now about our touring program. So just for the beginning, for those of you who haven't been here in this part of Europe, This is the position of Slovenia and Croatia. We are just to the northeast Italy, to the south of Austria. And here on this map, you can see blue and red lines. These are our touring tours. So we will talk about mountain bike and gravel a little bit later, but the touring program is maybe the richest one. And tonight we will present you those red lines a little bit more into detail, but for the very beginning, I show you the other tours as well. This one, for example, is our classic, let's say, Alps to Adriatic tour, a connection between Alpine world, some wine-growing regions, Vipava Valley, and then ending your tour after a little bit more than 200 kilometers on the Adriatic coastline. Then we have the next one, which is called Gourmet Tour because of its connections of, let's say, rich culinary experiences. It is divided in two parts. The first part is in Western Slovenia, connecting the mountains, again, with some wine-growing regions and karst regions, which are famous for their underground caves. And then you move by train through the capital city of Slovenia, which is Ljubljana, and you continue to the eastern part of the tour, which is quite different. It goes through Pannonian plains, which are very, let's say, Central European, once again, full of vineyards, full of spectacular hilly regions, which offer you quite interesting views around. And then we also have a short tour here on the coast, which is a combination of Slovenia and Croatia. We call it Istria to the Adriatic because it connects the coastline with the hinterland, with the interior of Istrian Peninsula. You start the tour in Italy, you cross Slovenia, and then you do a circle through northwestern part of Istria in Croatia. Then we also have the let's say the wellness tour, which also connects some spa towns in eastern Slovenia. It is divided in two parts: the northern part, the Alpine part, and the wine country part. We will present it to you a little bit later, and maybe the let's say the main one for tonight, which is Istrian Gourmet Cycling Tour, which you find here in Istrian Peninsula, once again starting in Italy and finishing in on the tip of Istrian Peninsula. Once again into presentation, thanks. Okay. Yeah, the touring program in general has some specific, let's say, conditions. Our tours are between 6 and 11 days long. We always cycle along local roads, avoiding major roads, avoiding traffic. Many times we also cycle on gravel, but we are talking about fine gravel, smooth gravel, so not some bumpy roads or something like that. The cycling stages are half day, which guarantees you a lot of time and in the afternoon for other activities, for enjoying taking the waters, for example, in spa towns, or enjoying some wine cellars along the route. The appropriate bikes for these tours are touring or gravel bikes or e-bikes, of course. There is not so much kilometers or elevation gain per stage, so you don't need to be very fit for joining us on these tours, just a low to moderate fitness level. And there the stages are not very technical. They reach at most medium technical difficulty. The stages are between 35 and 40 kilometers long, and you gain about, in general, about 400 meters of elevation per stage. The highlights of these stages of these tours are, as mentioned, beautiful landscapes, historic towns, and many national parks in Slovenia and Croatia. And you also cross several UNESCO protected sites, natural or historical sites along the route. So this is the highlight of our touring program. the Istria Gourmet Cycling Tour. As mentioned, 7 stages, a little bit more than 200 kilometers, and altogether 2,500 meters of elevation gain. We connect 3 countries, Italy, Slovenia, and Croatia, which also means 3 different cultures, languages, traditions. You will notice the huge contrast in landscape, as mentioned, between Adriatic coastline and interior. There is a lot of history here, a lot of traditions, and the entire region is very rich on vineyards, olives, truffles. Truffles are a specialty, especially in Croatia. Everything is influenced by Italy because of the Venetian heritage. And what is also very important, we have searched for you the best possible accommodations in this part of the country. You will see some photos very soon. But once again, let's go to the map. Yeah. So you see this tour. I will just put the stages on so we will see. You start the tour in Trieste, which is the harbor city of northeastern Italy. Then you keep staying on the coast through Slovenia, cycling on former railway line, having the first night in Venetian-style town of Piran in Slovenia. Then you cross to Croatia, still being on the former railway line, crossing historic hilltop towns of Grožnjan and Motovun, which is also famous for international movie festival in summertime. And then you come back to the coast to Poreč, which is here. And from here on, you keep cycling on the coastline with hundreds of beautiful little bays where you can swim in summertime. The water here can reach temperatures of 26, let's say even 27 sometimes degrees centigrade, and you finish the tour in the place where the famous Roman amphitheater is, which I showed you a couple of minutes ago in Pula. We will now see a short video from our exploration of Istria a couple of months ago when we were developing this tour.
Hi, good morning. I'm Katja from Visit Good Place. We're about to go cycling and set a new gourmet Istria tour. So come with us, follow us.
So you see we have really enjoyed here. This is the Roman amphitheater. This is the town of Rovin. We were here in October cycling in shorts because it was warm enough, enjoying some delicious food. And it was still possible to enjoy in the water in the second half of October. So the seasons here are very long. You come here already in May and cycle here till the end of October, as mentioned. Just in the high seasons, in summertime, it can be a little bit too warm to cycle. Some photo impressions from the different parts of the tour. So you start in Trieste, which is in Italy, here in the upper left corner, and then you finish the first stage in Piran, bottom left, Venetian-style town on Slovenian coastline. As mentioned, on the first day, you stay on the former railway line, which is really a nice and easy cycling without much of elevation gain. You can also pass the salt pans with 700 years of history of salt production. And then you turn inland into Croatian Istria, where there is plenty of hilltop towns. These were fortified towns in the Middle Ages, offering you plenty of experience also with delicious local wine and, as mentioned, the local specialty, which is truffles. They are very famous for truffle hunting here. We are talking about white and black truffles, and of course every restaurant serves food also with truffle. You can also join the locals in searching for truffles if you want. Then you come back to the coast. As I said, you cross plenty of hidden bays where you can swim and reaching Poreč here in the bottom right corner, and Pula at the tip of the peninsula. I also told you that we have searched the best possible accommodation for you. Those photos which you can see here are actual accommodations on this tour. So if you join us on Istrian tour, you will spend nights in these beautiful houses. Some of them old traditional houses, very nicely renovated, offering you beautiful views. For example, here where you can see practically the old city of Rovinj directly from your room. Okay, let's move back to Slovenia. The next tour which I would introduce you is Slovenian Wellness Tour. This is the one which is based on crossing several spa towns, which offers you opportunity to take some thermal waters after you finish the stage. The tour is divided in two parts. The northern is a little bit more alpine, and the southern a little bit Pannonian. Let's say when I say Pannonian, I want to say that it's not so mountainous. Of course, it's in the Pannonian plains, crossing just some hills with vineyards and beautiful views. The northern part has 7 stages and 260 kilometers, 2,600 meters of elevation gain, and the southern part 1 day shorter, but still 270 k's and a little bit less of elevation gain. This tour takes you a little bit away from, I would like to say, off the beaten track. You won't see the most visited parts of Slovenia. Instead, we are offering you some traditional villages where you will feel the real spirit of the country. And again, you will travel on local roads without traffic, with plenty of viewpoints to stop and enjoy the views, taking some good photos. And very important, we have searched for you very good restaurants where you will taste traditional Slovenian cuisine. Let's just jump a little bit. I showed you this map already. Okay, let me show it again. Just a second. Here you can see the tour is divided in two parts. The northern part, which is a little bit more alpine, you start in the capital city of Ljubljana, and then you cycle on the foot of the Alps. These are the Alps on the border between Slovenia and Austria. And then you reach the eastern part of the country, which gets flatter. You are very close to the meeting point of Slovenia, Austria, Hungary, and Croatia here. So this is the guarantee for traditions, meeting point of languages, cultures, and so on. And then you can finish the tour here after a week, or you can start the southern half of the tour, which we named Wine Country Bike Tour, crossing spectacular wine hills and, as mentioned, spa towns parallel to the border between Slovenia and Croatia, taking you down all the way to Novo Mesto in the southeast of the country, where you finish the tour in another spa town. Let me show you some photo impressions from the tour now. As I said, you start in Slovenian capital city, which you can see in the bottom right corner, Ljubljana. And then immediately after leaving the city, you are in the greenery, and you will cycle on the foot of the Alps towards the east until you reach the second largest city of Slovenia, Maribor, upper left corner. And when you continue, you go through some wine hills to the northeastern corner of the country, which is very flat, full of spa towns with delicious culinary opportunities. And then you start the southern half of the tour, which takes you through historic towns like the oldest town in Slovenia, which you can see in the bottom right corner. This is the town of Ptuj with a lot of Roman heritage. And as you will see now, plenty of vineyards, wine cellars, of course, beautiful rivers with castles on the islands, with entire little towns being on the river islands. Yeah. Nice spa towns. And you also, as you can see here, you also finish the tour in another spa town after this 6 days of cycling the southern section. thanks for now. I will give my words to Matic to show you something about our gravel tours.
Okay, thank you, Andrei. Now, so far you had a little bit more extensive insight look into the touring program. Now we will just try to fly over also the gravel and mountain bike and hiking at the end. Why? Just for an example, the touring section or the touring program offers easier cycling, as Andrei presented, also taking a little bit of nice gravel paths. But let's say for someone who feels more adventurous, gravel cycling can offer even more, let's say, even wider experience somewhere in the remote areas, crossing the mountains over the gravel roads and etc. So this here, what you can see here on the left side on the map, this is actually the presentation of the coverage of our gravel tours. I will just show you a little bit more on the more detailed map a little bit later. For now, just a short presentation of what is the main characteristic of our gravel tours. It's a bit different compared to touring, as you can see. Not in length, these are similar, like from 7 to 9 days tours, but they are a bit more demanding. Also but mostly all day cycling stages because of the, let's say, difficulty and the length, which is a bit longer and a bit higher, but also, yeah, it gives you definitely a little bit different type of cycling experience. For those tours, best bikes could be gravel bikes, of course, but it's doable at each of our tours is doable also by any other type, like hardtail mountain bike or touring e-bikes and similar. Fitness level, technical difficulty, average stage length, etc. Again, numbers a bit higher compared to the touring program. Here, it's maybe good to point out that understanding of the gravel surface with gravel types of tours is a bit different compared to touring. As mentioned, terrains can be more difficult, sometimes even challenging. So on these tours, you cannot expect just flatter or nice, smooth gravel sections. There are also challenging climbs included with quite some elevation to overcome, some descents which are challenging, but still, yeah, they're doable on the gravel bikes, of course, requiring a bit more experienced riders which are familiar with that type of touring. Again, the highlights of these tours are similar. They're covering some similar but also different regions of both the countries, Slovenia and Croatia as well. Firstly, we will start with presentation of one of our very new tours. We recently launched it. It's called Slovenia Backcountry Gravel Bike Tour. It runs on the northern part of Slovenia and it covers 7 stages in the length of 320 kilometers. And as you can see, a reasonable more elevation compared to the touring program. But on this tour, you will really experience the diversity of different gravel roads through very remote landscape, from vast forests to different mountain massifs, especially the Pohorje Massif. And then you will also encircle and see the Kamnik-Savinja Alps. And you will end your tour at the very footstep of the Julian Alps on the entrance point to the Triglav National Park, where everything goes even, let's say, further up into the mountains if somebody would prefer. One of the highlights of this tour is also the possibility of riding through the abandoned tunnels of the mine tunnel under the Peca mountain. This is an optional guided tour from the provider of the tour, but it's a very nice, let's say, highlight or enrichment of this stage of the tour. This is the area where the tour which the tour covers, from Maribor being the second largest city in Slovenia, over the mentioned Pohorje Massif, then going down towards the Kamniško-Savinjske Alps, and on the other side up to the Karavanke Ridge and crossing it all the way to the Lake Bled, which is here on the western part of the tour. And here is actually the connection to the westernmost Triglav National Park, where the Julian Alps begin. Here is the city center, the Ljubljana, the capital in the center of Slovenia. So I will just walk you through some of the sections of this tour just to give you the, let's say, better impression of what to expect. The first part of the tour, starting in Maribor along the river Drava, is fairly easy, but this is really just the beginning. Then you start climbing up to the Pohorje Massif through some vineyards, but at the top, lots of forests, pine tree forests, and so with some views which open around. It's still a mild altitude. You go up to 1,500 meters at the highest point, but everything else is a bit lower. Gentle surface, especially in the summer, you can enjoy cooler temperatures deep into the forest. So yeah, it's something that will really impress you, especially about the huge or long gravel roads going through the forest, being somewhere in the middle of nowhere, very remote areas, quiet. It's not likely to expect to meet lots of other people or tourists on that kind of tours. After crossing the Pohorje Massif, then you start to approach the Kamniško-Savinjske Alps. These are some views of the mountains, which you will actually halfway encircle. And then on the other side of the Kamniško-Savinjske Alps, you will climb up to the a bit more gentle but still demanding ridges of the Karavanke Massif. Again, spectacular views on the bike, but also those views have to be earned by doing some challenging climbs and descents as well. On the way, some mountain huts, old traditional pastures as well, which where you can meet shepherds. You can try some local specialties like cheese, sour milk, and other. So quite few things to enjoy. And in the last part of the tour, leaving the Karavanke Ridge, you descend down to the basin of the, or you descend down to the Sava Valley. You actually cross the Sava Valley and finish your tour at the famous Lake Bled, which you can see here in the upper two pictures, with the Bled Castle on the left and the island of Bled on the right. But before that, you also enjoy on some other nice and quite, let's say, enjoyable sections of cycling. The other gravel tour which we would like to point out is also a new one. It takes place in the other country, in Croatia, and our southern neighbor. Compared to the Slovenian tour we just talked about, is maybe a bit more, even a bit more wilder, because the terrain is different. It's more stony, some even a bit more difficult climbs, but the surrounding is totally different. You will experience here also wild nature and solitude, but on the other side, you will have the opportunity to see some of the most dramatic stretches of Croatia coastline. Not only the coastline, also the islands on the other side of the views, and you will also have the opportunity to cycle over one of the biggest islands in the northern Adriatic, the Pag Island. Just before ending the tour, leaving the Pag Island, you will actually see and stop by the Zrmanja River Canyon. So here on this map, you can see the stretch of the tour. Leaving Slovenia up north, you start in the small town of Čaule, just above the town of Rijeka, with well connections to the different airports, international. And then you follow the coastline, some easy start, which gives you opportunity of enjoying the sea life, also visiting to a bit more touristic places. But soon after that, you go and start climbing up to this Velebit Massif, which you will actually cross in length a little bit and then parallel down to the Adriatic Sea, in particular, sorry. So here is actually some of the wildest terrain you will encounter, but those views will be really, really amazing. All the islands of the Kvarner Bay and the other parts of Adriatic, and also inland, the wood and rocky sections are quite different. Really contrast looking left or right while cycling. To have a better feeling, again, some photo impressions. First part of the tour above the Kvarner Bay is something like this. Also visiting the nice little towns on the Adriatic coast, but when climbing up, the views open down to the islands of Adriatic on the other side. Here in the northern part of the Kvarner Bay, you can see also the Istria Peninsula behind just this island of Stres. It depends on the weather conditions, but with clear skies, it's possible to see quite far away, even across the Adriatic to the Italian coastline. And sometimes with really clear skies, with after, let's say, the Bora wind maybe blows a little bit, you can see even the Alps behind. This is the town of Sen, historical town, where the second stage ends, and this is just before leaving the first part of the Kvarner Gulf and starting to climb up to the Velebit area. As you can see, this soft Adriatic landscape changes drastically into the rock formation which cover the karstic landscape up on the Velebit Ridge. The Velebit Ridge stretches high up to the 1600 and a bit more meters of elevation. So you can imagine going from ground zero up, it's quite some climbing, but you do it gradually in a few days. Then at the end, when you cross the Velebit Massif, you descend down to the island of Pag. It looks like a deserted island, but of course it's not. This is just the consequence of the Bora wind, which usually blows in winter time. It comes from this Velebit Massif and then descends rapidly down to the Adriatic coast and actually sweeps everything out on the island. So this is probably, this is the one of the main reasons why the landscape on the island of Pag looks a bit like this. But that gives you an opportunity to experience really different type of cycling. The island of Pag is connected with the inland with the bridge. When you cross it, you are back on the continent, and then you just follow some local roads until you reach the canyon of the Zrmanja River. Quite spectacular, very close to the route, but unless you take a short detour, you wouldn't be even aware about it. So yeah, from this viewpoint, this is something that, maybe it's pretentious to say it will resemble your Grand Canyon because it's smaller and different, but it's also quite different to everything around in this area. And the day of the tour ends up at the Zrmanja River waterfalls. This is actually the exact location where the last 2 overnights take place, and that gives you a really nice opportunity to relax, to swim in summertime, to enjoy some good local food before you head for the last stage, a short loop back into the Velebit, preferred to it or not, and then you're picked up and taken back to the tour start in the town of Chaule. If we go a little bit further with the, let's say, difficulty, or if we go gradually up the scale, talking about the characteristics of our tours, after the gravel, we can talk a little bit about mountain biking. This is, of course, a different type of cycling, which offers some more adrenaline experience. On this map, you can see the main tours that we cover in Slovenia and in Croatia. It's mostly about the Trans-Slovenia tours in Slovenian region, from west to east, our bestseller Trans-Slovenia 1, from the Alps, along the Soča River, going down towards some wine regions of Goriška Brda, Vipava Valley, Karst, and then to the Slovenian part of Istria, ending on the Adriatic coast in the town of Piran. Let's say also the most demanding tour in terms of cycling, some nice mountain bike trails, quite a lot of climbing, descending, but enjoyable. And not, if someone prefers not to do so many trails, to do less technical parts, here is Trans-Slovenia 2, which crosses also from Slovenia from north to south, starting actually in Austria on the northern side of the Karavanke Massif, and then going through some most known places of the Slovenia here in Kranjska Gora, Bled, Bohinj, with Bled and Bohinj Lake, of course, over Pokljuka Plateau in between, and then going down south back to Vipava Valley as well, and the Karst, and doing the same last stage towards the Adriatic as the Trans-Slovenia 1 tour. And the third one, crossing Slovenia diagonally from the northeast to down to southwest, will go also from the Karavanke and Kamniško-Savinjska Alps over the Ljubljana city or the area of the capital Ljubljana and down south to the Adriatic. One would think that crossing the region, the urban region here, would mean a different type of cycling, but you would be surprised, because Ljubljana is actually, it's a small city, it's a green city, and its surroundings is covered, or let's say there is lots of very, very good mountain biking trails all around the city. It's like going 5-7 kilometers from the city center, or in the radius of 10 kilometers, you're already out in the woods on the trails. And so you can experience in one day perfect trail riding and also all the charms of the nice small green capital. Croatian tours down south on Istria Peninsula, similar as you were listening before about the Istria Gourmet route, but totally different character, which will take you all around the Istria Peninsula. This is the Trans-Croatia Istria mountain bike tour, and on the other side of the Bay of the Kvarner, the area where also the previously mentioned gravel tour takes place, but this time again on mountain bike terrains. This is the Trans-Croatia Mountains to Islands tour, also crossing the Velebit, but then going down south and crossing the islands of Rab and taking the ferry to the island of Kirk, enjoying the last 2 days, and also then finishing the tour and going back to the starting point. So briefly about the tours in general. As you can see, the difficulty increases, the length, the elevation, everything. Of course, it's a different type of cycling. This is mostly meant for mountain bikers, of course. It's suitable for mountain bikes fully and hardtail as well, for those who are experienced in riding, also doable with mountain bike e-bikes. Stages, again, half to 1 day, but most of them are all-day cycling stages, and they require quite some fitness level from medium to high, and also they will cover different technical difficulties. Again, as mentioned previously at the beginning, all the tours can be tailor-made for you. So there are some classic stages which are suitable for most of the riders or most of the guests, but of course they can be made easier or even harder, or they can be spiced up with some even harder section if so preferred. Again, landscape on this tour will amaze you. It's the nature, it's the beauty of the Alps, beauty of the nice, clear, crystal clear rivers, historic towns, lots of UNESCO sites and similar. Today, I will just give you a bit more info about the Istrian mountain bike tour, because this is also very, very nice choice to do it, let's say, the shoulder season before the high season starts or after it. It's really a great combination of riding along the coast and also going inland and discover some hidden trails. Taking this tour, you have the opportunity of going remote and also of experiencing a little bit of this, let's say, classical Croatian coastline life, which is probably most known to everyone who searches for the touristic activities in Croatia. This is a bit close up, a small close up of the tour, starting in Slovenia in the town of Piran, where all the other tours actually end, in Slovenia and Trans-Slovenia tours, going inland to the heart of Istria, and then back to the coastline, staying on the coast or going back inland again, all the way down to the very tip of the Istrian Peninsula on the Kamenjak Peninsula. You wouldn't believe how many trails are hidden here on this small peninsula. They are more like cross-country character of the trails, but very, very enjoyable. And then turning up to north along the eastern coast of the Istria, which is very remote compared to the western, which is much more touristic, and finishing the tour in style by climbing high up to the Učka Massiv, almost to the top, and then descending directly over 1,000 meters down to the Kvarner Bay, to the coastline directly in Mošćenička Draga, a small town close to the Opatija and the city of Rijeka. First part of the tour goes along the previously mentioned old Parentana railway, but it stays on it very little, to be honest, because it crosses it several times and goes left and right, taking some more interesting trails for mountain bikers. if preferred, if tired, if having enough of trails and jumps and so on, you can easily go on the Parentana Railway and enjoy some easier gravel. By doing so, you will have also the opportunity of crossing several bridges via the previous viaducts of the previous railway, going through the tunnels. I think there are over 9 or 10 of them on this Parentana Railway, and it's also very, very nice and interesting experience. Before heading down to the west coast, going back to the sea, enjoying the good sea life and seafood in the town of Rovinj, and then going around the Limski Bay, Lim Bay, so-called. Some people call it also Lim Fjord because by its shape it resembles a fjord. It's of course not a real fjord, but you will have to cycle around it, and you will have the opportunity to fetch some nice views from the cliffs above. Going towards south, again, lots of heritage. Also going through Pula, visiting the Roman amphitheater, and then coming to the very tip of the Eastern Peninsula in the Kamenjak. Kamenjak offers you what if you remember at the beginning in one of the videos, you can also stop here, enjoy swimming. It's not necessary to jump from these heights, of course. There are many accesses to the sea which are easy. And then going back towards the north, again, it's about some older abandoned railway. Yeah, this is not playing with our safety. Don't worry, this railway is abandoned. As you can see here, it has a special formation, to put it mildly, because after it was abandoned, then the land slides slowly, and nowadays this is called Drunken Railway, and it's quite a tourist attraction. Quite some people come here, and yeah, by taking this tour, you can also choose to enjoy a little bit of adrenaline riding and follow shortly for a few hundred meters the track if preferred. Coming back to the sea, again, views to the Kvarner Bay and the islands behind, and also enjoying the inland trails with some old rock dry walls and similar. Climbing to the Uchka mountain at the end, the last stage, will give you experience exactly like this, as you can see on the pictures. Beautiful trails going down to the coastline directly, old historical towns, and then the descent finishes literally on the beach. This is the town, the small town of Mošćenička Draga, where your tour ends. It's close to Opatija and Rijeka, as mentioned, and also it gives you connection to visit those cities, or opportunity to visit those cities if preferred. Otherwise, of course, you are picked up by our transfer and you go back to the start point of the tour. And this is about the cycling. I will just give now the opportunity back to Andrei to talk about hiking a little bit too.
Yeah, thanks, Matic. Let's just slowly approach the finish line with our hiking tours in Slovenia. So here we will only cover the Slovenian hiking. As you can see on the map on the left side, the hiking tours take place in the western part of the country. In the northwestern corner, there are the Julian Alps and the Triglav National Park, where you can see the red line being the completely new Best of Slovenia hiking tour, which will be introduced. And the blue line, reaching from north to south, is the historic walking trail, which we call Walk of Peace. It follows the remnants of the First World War battles, which happened here between 1915 and 1917, between Austria and Italy. Our hiking tours are a little bit longer, up to 12 days. They offer plenty of scenic hiking. The stages take you sometimes mostly entire days, so we are talking about a little bit more demanding tours for which you need some real hiking equipment and some experience. We are talking about rocky terrain. Be careful, we are not talking about dangers. It's not some real high alpine trails, but all the time you will be on trails which are, let's say, really very rich on smaller rocks or roots, and when it gets a little bit wet or slippery, you must take caution. There are plenty of spots where you can stop and enjoy beautiful views, but still you must have a careful step. You need medium to high fitness level. The stages are approximately 20 kilometers long per day, of course, where you will gain about 600 meters. And we have already mentioned what the highlights of the tours in general are, from historic places to beautiful nature. The Best of Slovenia hiking tour, which is the highlight we are going to introduce you tonight, has 10 stages, a little bit more than 200 kilometers, and you will cover 7,000 and something elevation meters. Basically, you are going to encircle Slovenia's only and most famous national park around the highest mountain called Triglav. But of course, we are not taking you to the summits. You will only be crossing valleys and mountain passes with spectacular views. On your way, you will discover several hidden valleys and beautiful small villages. And there are some highlights like the Socha River, the most beautiful in the country, several gorges, alpine lakes where you can swim in summertime, and so on. You will cross some important tourist attractions, famous places like Bled and Bohinj, but what's also very important, we will take you through similar small places off the beaten track. Here you can see it on the map. Once again, as mentioned, we are talking about encircling of the national park. This line on the map looks interrupted. It is in fact, but this section which Matic is highlighting now is actually covered by train rides. So we are talking about Circle, which is started on the northernmost point in Kranjska Gora, close to the triple border between Slovenia, Austria, and Italy. And then you go in anti-clockwise direction, following the Socha River, covering the train ride, and then reaching the Alpine Lakes and the northern part of the national park, where you conclude the tour back in Kranjska Gora. Some photo impressions. This is the beginning of the trail in the heart of the Julian Alps. You can see some rocky peaks. Of course, you will have plenty of such vistas over your route, but as mentioned, you are not going to the summits. You will walk across mountain passes. The highest altitude you are going to cross is about 1,600 meters above the sea level. On the other side, you come into the Socha Valley. The Socha is the most beautiful river in Slovenia with its typical emerald color, very popular among lovers of whitewater rafting and other activities on the river. So when you will walk along the river, you won't be alone, because there will be plenty of people in the water, on the water, whatever, yeah, you will enjoy with them this really beautiful corner of the country. There are plenty of waterfalls. You will see some of them being really high, like the Boka, the one on the top right corner, or some hidden waterfalls almost hidden in the caves or gorges, like Kozjak waterfall, which you can see on the bottom left photo. On the other side of the mountain chain, there are the beautiful lakes. Bled, the one on the left side, is probably the most famous place in Slovenia, with the little island with the church in the middle, and the lake Bohinj, which you can see on the top right corner. It's a little bit bigger and a little bit more calm, peaceful, but perfect for swimming in summertime. The north face of the Alps, once again, shows you the views of the highest summits of the country, including Mount Triglav, which you can see on the left upper corner. And this is where you come back to Kranjska Gora on your starting point. Thanks for now, Matic.
Yes, so after seeing the impressions through the photos and some videos of the tours, of course, there are some other information you're probably seeking for, mostly about the tour prices and dates. Regarding the dates, as you can see on this slide and the following one, it depends the tour you choose to take. Of course, for the Mediterranean region, it's a bit different timing that is best. Early spring or early, even late autumn as well. This is totally off the, let's say, the main tourist season, which gives you really a good opportunity to enjoy a bit more peaceful and quiet places. as well. Those are the dates for the guided tours which are prepared so far. But for the self-guided, of course, any time in this period can be arranged as well. The prices for these tours, let's say, it's hard to give it or to say the exact number right now because it strongly depends on the type of the tour you choose, either guided or self-guided. For the guided tour, you can check the prices on our website because it's quite fixed depending on the group size. For the self-guided tours, it strongly depends also on the number of the participants. So yeah, the best way to do it is just write to us, give us our inquiry, and we will try and prepare your new offer quickly. So you will have the exact numbers and the exact, let's say, itinerary, which will suit you best. So this is definitely something to do as soon as possible if you are thinking about coming, because that gives you the opportunity to have more flexibility about choosing the accommodations and so on. Later on, going or approaching the main season, those accommodations are a bit harder to book, but still we do our best to find the best solution for your tour and for your enjoyment. The other tours mentioned tonight, the Slovenia backcountry and best of Slovenia hiking as well. As you can see, backcountry in the northern part of Slovenia is doable in early summer as well, or in the high summer too, because cycling in the higher altitude and inside the woods gives you the opportunity to enjoy cooler temperatures, or otherwise in the Mediterranean part of Slovenia and Croatia can get quite hot during the summer. And similar for the hiking, the best timing for enjoyment in the mountainous region can be like an late summer or early autumn time, but also it can be prepared custom in between for different wishes. For the Adventure Croatia route, you see there's no date yet, but this is really very new tour. We just put it on. It will be set according to the demand or according to the inquiries from the potential guests. So this is definitely something we are also very ready and keen on organizing. Besides that, let me finish with a few words to sum up what we were talking about. Our roots, we really believe it, or we try to, let's say, make this real, you know, that they're really original and unique products. We did put a lot of effort into this. We covered different countries from Austria, Slovenia, Italy, and Croatia, mostly, of course, Slovenia, and now extending down towards Croatia. But what we really try to follow when creating those products is supporting the green travel and also being very responsible while doing this. Maybe just as an impression, let's say the carbon print, everyone lives somewhere when traveling around. All of our tours, Slovenia and Croatia, in the previous season, they were totally 100% compensated. The carbon print was compensated by foresting the devastated area in Karst region. There was a vast fire in the 2 years ago, and then we just helped to renew it. By doing so, yeah, we managed to actually compensate all the carbon print by coming here, by, you know, all the inside transfers, accommodations, food, etc. And yeah, we're really, let's say, happy that we have this possibility, because lots of our tours go through the Karst region, and this is something that we really want to make better after this accident which happened. Just a word about other things we do by having this knowledge of designing products, of storytelling, of being cartographic experts. We also are, let's say, trusted to create different products. Some of them, yeah, are then basis for the presenting or for creating the tours you were listening about tonight. But some of them are, let's say, a bit different. One of it, which we are very proud of, is creating a long-distance Trans-Dinarica route, which is about to be finished this summer in July. It crosses the 8 countries of the Western Balkans. It was supported by different funds, by the American USA and different other hubs from Europe, Germany, Switzerland, Sweden. Also, it was already recognized like best in travel in different renewed media around the world. And yeah, we're very happy to, let's say, be able to launch it this summer, and this will also give the opportunity to travelers to go even deeper down south to the Balkans. Otherwise, this is pretty much it that we wanted to tell you. I know it's a lot of content we tried to cover in such a short time.